I mean, we have a quorum, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. It is 7 o'clock. So call to order the March 17th, 2025 Parks, Recreation and Forestry Commission meeting. Having a Laura, do you have a roll?
So we have Adams, we have Shaw, we have Bond, we have Tressler, we have Nelson, we have 5 of 8. Not here is O'Donnell, Pollock, Trucios.
All right, next order of business will be to approve the minutes from the March 3rd meeting.
Andrew Shuck of the Village Green here in
There it
downtown
was.
Middleton.
There it went. Apologize.
All right, next order of business will be acceptance of the minutes from the March 3rd meeting. Any changes, additions, subtractions to those minutes? Right, hearing none, I will accept those minutes as submitted. On to new items, new agenda items. So agenda item number 1, Bauman Community Pool logo and building sign presentation.
Can you pull up the logo?
He's on mute, but I'm gonna try.
All right, here we go.
I'm sorry, you guys.
Good competition this year. We got a lot of
I'm
competitors.
really sorry.
Okay.
All done.
So Bauman Community Pool was Walter R. Bauman Aquatic Center. The name has been changed to Bauman Community Pool, and we have been working on the logo for the pool actually for about the last year and a half. We've come up with a final design, which is on the top there. That is Wally the Walrus, named after Walter R. Bauman. And then on the bottom there are going to be his native to Wisconsin freshwater friends. So we don't have names for the little guys below yet, but we are wanting to do social media polls for them to pick names for his little freshwater friends.
So it's a frog, an otter,
And
and a heron?
uh-huh.
No, heron or crane.
It's a blue heron.
It is.
It's blue, okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the Bauman Community Pool logo, and Wally the Walrus and the sign.
All right, we do have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Oh,
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, agenda item number 2, mountain bike trail expansion at the Middleton Bike Park.
So, the Capital Off-Road Pathfinders or CORP proposed to the Pleasant View Golf Course Advisory Committee the expansion of a short section of current trail adjacent to one of the greens, hole number 6, onto the Pleasant View Golf Course property. This would improve cyclist safety by turning a previously 2-way stretch of trail into 2 one-way stretches of trail. And we've got a brief memo here outlining the authorization details for the Middleton Bike Park and Middleton's Parks and Recreation Department to proceed with the trail extension. The Pleasant View Golf Course, I think, is meeting at 5:30, so they are at 4. Okay.
I did not listen, but they
All right.
added 4.
They may have already moved it. So what we're looking for here is to review the memo of understanding and plan, approve the memo and the scope of work to be completed by the Capital Off-Road Pathfinders as presented, and add as an attachment to the agreement with Corp an updated map of the trail system. We have as enclosures here the memo from Pleasant View Golf Course Advisory Committee. We have the updated map, and then there's meetings from their previous meeting. There's minutes from their previous meetings.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? We'll accept the motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the expansion of the trail to have 2 lanes, one for each direction to improve safety per the memo.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Also,
Great, motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Right, motion carries. All right, on to the next agenda item, the Cayuga Connector Multi-Use Path. The final plans and access easement agreement, Swiss dot maintenance agreement, and the award of the bids. Welcome to this.
All right, and Mark Opitz is here from our planning department. Thank you, Mark, to answer any questions and to give a better background info than I could give.
Thank you for having us on your agenda. So back in 2009, actually, we adopted a bicycle and pedestrian plan that identified this project. A lot of people don't realize it goes back that far. So the idea is that when you come up, when you're traveling along the creek corridor behind the high school, you can come up at Parmenter Street and you'll be able to cross one leg of Parmenter, the leg that goes to downtown Middleton. And once you cross, there'll be this path that takes you all the way to the fire station along Highway 12. So without crossing any more streets. So that's the idea behind it, is to tie the downtown into our trail system. So it will be, it's budgeted. We did the design over the last year. The council authorized funding for this year. We opened bids couple weeks ago. And the low bid is within budget, easily within budget. $277,000. It's gone through the Public Works Committee already. They tend to look at these things, but I thought since this is also a Parks and Rec Department managed trail, it was important for our colleagues in Parks and Rec to review this as well, and for this committee to be aware of it and to make a recommendation to the council. So what's before you is the award of bid. And I would recommend just endorsing that. And also then the maintenance agreement, which is the key part of this. So that's something that the DOT, the Department of Transportation has a template. They gave it to us. Our city attorney had a number of comments. It's now back in DOT's hands. So you may have some comments as well. It's not in final form yet. So what you have is a draft. But if you wish to provide any feedback, this would be a good meeting to do it, because it would be nice to get that wrapped up, ideally in early April. So maybe before the next Parks and Rec meeting, PRC meeting, I mean. And I think those were the 2 items in the packet. Oh, and the access easement agreement. So that is simply we had one property owner. So the trail is entirely in DOT right away, with the exception of one small corner where as it goes from the off ramp, if you imagine coming from West Town from the Beltline and you taking the off ramp, you go underneath the on ramp. You can all picture that. Well, at that junction, the trail will come along the off ramp, and then it bends 90 degrees to go along the on-ramp. And when it's making that bend, it has to clip a property corner. So and that property owner is delighted by this. They're saying this, it's a multifamily development, a small apartment building. And as far as he's concerned, this will help improve access and be an amenity for the residents there on Rowley Court. So he's really happy with this. So he was willing to give us the easement at no cost.
can you describe that location again?
So
I'm picturing it
yeah, so when you, if you were traveling in reverse direction from the roundabout, as if you're getting onto the Beltline in the wrong order, the wrong direction, can you picture that? So you're going upstream against traffic
Okay.
to the highway. When you reach that bridge, thank you, this will help. So basically it's where the X is on the right side, on the east side of the highway.
okay,
So-
that's where I was picturing it.
Yeah, so where the trees are, so if you go north a little bit, it's hard to see with the cursor, just a little farther, right about there. That's where the trail will bend about 90, not quite 90 degrees.
And then
So-
it comes behind the fire station.
Yep, it
eventually?
comes out at the fire station at Cayuga Street, at the signal where we put in a crosswalk.
Cool. Thanks. I couldn't picture it from these drawings.
So the attorney already highlighted my question, which was, what does mowing entail? Do we mowing for maintenance? On item number 5.
That's, yeah, I don't know. Well, this isn't so much the mowing part. I mean, that's part of it, but it's obviously
Mowing
the
part.
pavement surfaces and the snow plowing and then in the future restoring the pavement.
We're not gonna be responsible for mowing the whole thing just because we have a trail over part of it.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
We will not be responsible for mowing the entire.
No,
Right
I
away
don't know.
area.
I don't even know how that gets mowed now. That's a good point. I would just, that's a DOT right away, so they're the ones mowing it. I didn't focus on that part of the agreement, so I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you. Where's the mowing reference in there?
It's under number 5 under maintenance, you know,
Let's look at it. If we can. I certainly didn't envision that we would be mowing. You know, the
You
whole
might
area.
not have to, even if it grows up. I would think the snow removal would be the bigger deal.
removing litter from the paved area and nearby adjacent grassed areas, mowing grass areas, keeping any landscaping healthy and in neat condition. It's highlighted there under number 5.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that they would require us to mow anything other than adjacent to the path. That certainly, from a safety standpoint, that should be mowed by the DOT or by the county, whoever does it.
Right, I mean, I don't know what it would take for us to mow a mower's width on either side of the path. And I guess that might make sense. But much more than that seems like something we don't really want to get involved in.
I agree.
Yeah, the comment here, including a width,
Yeah,
defining what we would need to mow in that area. Any other questions or concerns?
And I just want to represent Kylie's concern. I mean, she has impressed this upon me ever since she arrived that, you know, we are with this project adding mileage to the trail system without adding staff. So I do want to make sure that I think that's a central concern of the Parks and Rec Department. It's very understandable, no different than adding acreage to the north side of the city with, you know, annexations and then not adding other city service staff for other city services. So it's just something that needs to be pointed out at some point. There's a limit to how much we can take on and maintain.
staff have any concerns about that at this time?
Well, I think Mark just highlighted what the department's concerns are, is that we're adding maintenance responsibilities without increasing our staff or the budget to do so. I think it highlights the need to look at our trail system holistically. We've gotten an inventory of paved surfaces. We have a condition rating on those trail surfaces now. We're working with a contractor to put those in a viewable dashboard within our GIS system so that we can easily see what trail surfaces are of what rating. So we can see, for instance, what paths might need a seal coating, what paths might need a complete reconstruction, and that can help us prioritize work in the next 5 to 10 years. So very similar to the dashboard that the streets department uses for road reconstruction.
Yeah, I don't know too much about what the soil conditions are like. I noticed that was the 9-inch base, which would seem to be a pretty good amount for what expect for the trail usage. I mean, bicycles and the occasional motorized vehicle, and yeah, probably some sort of, I don't know what you run on the snow blower type thing. But I guess my concern is this going to put an undue, I understand, it's not just It's not just simply talking about the straw that broke the camel's back. It's creep, you know, and there will be a particular situation where it will become impossible. Things will just get pushed back until they can get done. Then it's a question of, did they get pushed back too much? And that's someone's opinion. So it's always tough.
Yeah, that's not an easy answer to come up with. I think, the snow removal is an area where you just have to prioritize what routes need to happen. We'll look at this route, we'll add it to one of our plow routes, for the upcoming winter season. And we'll go from there.
If I may add, so in terms of the overall vision for future trail development, for shared use trail development in the city, this is one of a few segments that's been on the books for a while that is being pursued. The reason why this is being pursued at this time is because it's funded with TIF 3. And that TIF district is going to be closing. So we have a funding source that's expiring. And so that's why we made this push to take care of this project. It's been in our books, on our plans for 15 years. The other trail segment that's going to be developed this year is, I want to say, I don't know how long it is, 1,000 feet long or so, maybe a little more. And that's along Allen Boulevard. That's extending the path, the West Mendota path, we're calling it now. So where Midtown Pub is, there's a path that comes up along Allen from Madison. That's going to be extended north to the intersection with Allen and Century. Those are the two paths that I call a missing link. I mean, arguably Cayuga is not a missing link, but it's a link to the downtown. But clearly the Allen Boulevard path is a gap in our trail system. The only path beyond that I'm aware of that is being planned is to connect the Ziegler Farm, the Pheasant Crossing development, the Ziegler Farm by High Road. We have a plan there I would call that a missing link, connecting the area behind Whittlesey Road where there's a path there, extending that northwesterly to connect to Misty Valley where there's the existing path. So that's also a gap. A lot of that will be boardwalk. We don't have a timeline for developing that. That won't be this year. But those are, I would say, the major path projects for the foreseeable future. I don't know who's maintaining the path system up in Red Tail Ridge. Kevin, do you know, is that developer maintained or is that going to be turned over to the city? There's paths along where there were it's basically instead of sidewalks, they have some paths. So I'm hoping that that's not your department that will maintain that, but maybe it is.
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't heard of it coming up as something we're gonna have to look at. So my guess would be it's not
Well,
the Parks Department, but I don't know that
that's
for sure.
something to be aware of because that is a trail system there that goes along Bellefontaine Boulevard, the south side, and it goes, I think, along the length of it. So that hopefully that's something that the developer and the association up there will maintain. So that's what's on the horizon. So these are incremental, like you said, David. These are incremental, but it obviously everything death by 1,000 cuts.
Mhm.
Not a good analogy, but you get my point.
So we are looking for a recommendation to the Finance Personnel Committee and the Common Council award of the construction contract to Pulbaki Paving Corporation.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to recommend to Finance and the Common Council to award the construction bid for the Cayuga path to Blocky Paving and the amount of $277,097.73 or amounts not to exceed. Contingent upon satisfaction of the city's attorney questions as laid out in the maintenance agreement, other documents.
Okay, do you have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. I think we're gonna end up having to do a little bit of a switcheroo next too. So we're gonna move up. But in the pack is agenda item number 6. We're gonna discuss that first. And there's a rhyme and a reason for this. So
Thank you,
I'll
Mark.
just explain why we're doing this. The bid came in for $12,756.76, higher than what was budgeted for this project. So we need to amend the budget agreement, budget resolution first. And then we're going to go back and approve the actual project, if that makes sense. So we need, so 5 can't happen without 6 happening. So we're going to do,
This is the logical way to do it.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I
So,
will go ahead and make a motion to amend the 2025 budget for Lakeview Tennis Court Pickleball Court project for the resolution.
I second.
all right, motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, now back to the original agenda item number 5. So the award of the bid for the Lakeview Tennis and Pickleball Court reconstruction.
All right, thank you. So bids were opened on Wednesday, March 13th for the above referenced project, the pickleball and tennis court reconstruction at Lakeview Community Park. This includes reconstruction of 4 tennis courts to 2 tennis courts and 6 pickleball courts. 3 bids were received and a bid tab is attached. PCC Sports submitted the low base bid of $778,426.74. This bid amount exceeds the 2025 project funding allocation of $765,670 by close to $13,000. The PCC Sports base bid includes the demolition, earthwork, erosion control, utilities, concrete walk, plaza, fencing, and post-tensioned concrete site amenities. There are additional items not included in the base bid, which are the privacy slats, the acoustic panels, and the shade structure installation. So we have enclosed the staff memo, bid tabulation, and I think some examples of the privacy slats and acoustic panels. We have Ryan Bars from Rattler Corporation here to answer any technical or specific questions regarding the construction or the proposals there. And what we are looking for is staff is recommending the commission recommend to the Finance and Personnel Committee and Common Council award of a construction contract to PCC Sports for the items in the base bid plus 2 additional items, the privacy slats and the acoustic panels, in the amount not to exceed $802,719.89.
I'm not real familiar with this sound block. It looks very similar to mass loaded vinyl, which is normally installed internal to a wall or internal to a floor. And I'm wondering, is it acting as a absorption material or a deflection material?
And you want to allow Ryan to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ryan, did you catch that question and can you address that?
Yeah, part of it. Yeah, that acoustic panel is it's a foam rubber type of panel. Like you said, that it is a product that does get installed, not just in this type of exterior situation, but also within wall panels and buildings and that sort of use as well. But it does get hung from fences for this application with steel grommets.
In wall installations, it's always important to seal that so that there are no holes or gaps. This is a different application. Is that a concern here? Do you need to overlap this? And is that provided for?
Let me just, I have the website open here.
Yeah, I went to the website.
Yes, so that it is tied together as they roll those panels out, when then it'll be zip tied to the fence And then it will have overlapping so that there will not be gaps.
Okay. And this has been used before and it's been proven to be effective.
Correct. It's kind of, this whole pickleball noise thing is, newer as pickleball continues to be a rise. But obviously we have not installed any of these panels ourselves on projects that we've been involved with. We haven't been involved in any projects that have had them, but most recently over the last few years, there's just about every project that gets brought up. So we had talked to Kylie about it. We know that, pickleball noise is a real thing. It is loud, and this will provide some assistance in help mitigating that noise. There's still going to be noise there, but doing what we can to help mitigate it.
No, you can't shut it down completely, but,
Yeah.
and you have that many more players than you'd have with tennis, so I understand.
Can you remind me the configuration along Mendota? Are those tennis courts or those pickleball courts? Is anybody?
Tennis courts.
Okay, because that's what's gonna be closest to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I love tennis, I love pickleball. I think the privacy slats seem like a good idea to me, because every time I go to a tennis court or pickleball court, the tarps are just flying in the wind and aren't really secured. So, I would request that we table the sound deafening material or, earmark it for potential in the future, but maybe not start with it. I think we also have to find out what the city's, sound ordinances are for annoyances kind of things. Are we doing this because we know it's gonna be a problem, but we're spending $11,000 that maybe we need to, or maybe we don't at the current time, especially since we had to approve, an increase. So, I would just request that. So those are my thoughts on that, and I don't know what the city's noise ordinances are.
Can I ask the consultant, is that sound deafening material easy to do as an after thought?
Yes, this is something that could be added after the fact. Actually, if I share my screen here, I have the layout up here. Let me see if I can share what I'm looking at with that layout of the 2 tennis courts adjacent to Mendota and then the 6 pickleball courts north of that. Can you see my screen yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we do have for the privacy slats are basically identified in blue here along the south side.
Don't see that portion of your screen.
This
We
is
see
my
the-
screen still.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Kevin's
your
gonna give
screen.
permission.
It's not. It says I'm sharing.
Hang on.
Try again.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. So here along Mendota, like mentioned, the 2 tennis courts on the south side and then the 6 pickleball courts to the north. What we have highlighted in blue here is the location of privacy slats to serve as kind of a windscreen and that visual break. And then the red is where we have bid out those acoustic panels. So basically that divider fence in between pickleball and tennis. And then we just wrapped it up the corners a little bit just to help contain some of that noise so it doesn't, clip that edge. And then once we get to that point on the east side of that pickleball fence line, that's where the fence height drops down. So that's a lower fence line along that east side. But yes, this fencing itself will be black vinyl chain link fencing, and it will be sized so that it can handle the addition of the acoustic panels. And because of the way those acoustic panels do get rolled out and zip tied to the fence, those could be added at a later date if you chose to do that.
Michelle, oh, sorry.
And then where would the rebounder go?
What is the gap in the blue line here? This is the tennis bounding board. That's these black lines here over on the west fence of the tennis.
I was gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
As a ball player, is it, have you been on a court playing either sport where the other courts are louder than you guys and it's annoying? Like, would it help the players to have this acoustic panel as well as the neighbors?
I think like he said, this hasn't been used anywhere else that I'm aware of, so it's kind of a newer idea technology. I think noise with pickleball is becoming a divisive thing between neighbors and players, and it doesn't really build community, because some people love it, some people don't, and that's kind of your point of view. I'm always a person who is mindful of budget, so I feel, you know, that that would be something that could be added later, and it's not like it's towards the homes. It would be more just between the pickleball and tennis as I'm seeing it on this image. So it wouldn't really be doing a community thing, and people that are playing tennis and pickleball kind of expect to hear the ball. So, I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. I have a question now for staff. Is this extra funding that we're asking for, is this, obviously it's gonna be at the expense of something else?
Yeah, so the budget, I'm sorry, the budget resolution takes, I'm gonna bring my screen back here, or at least attempt to.
Yep, go ahead.
And budget resolution. This is, oh, we're not seeing that. Oh, there it is. Okay. Takes a second. Okay, so the budget resolution 2516 takes money from the Lakeview East planning efforts that we have on the books for targeted 2026. That's where that $45,000 comes in to bridge the gap between the differential in the base bid and the addition of the two items, privacy slats and acoustic panels. And it leaves a contingency for construction testing, which I know we haven't had a proposal until recently for, and any other issues that might come up. So it's the Lakeview East planning efforts that we're taking from.
You said that was a 2026 budget.
That's what Kylie has kind of pinpointed as when we want to start planning for that. So I think her feeling is that there's not enough there to do a playground replacement program at this time. So it's an older project. I think it has a 2022 project number on it, if I'm not mistaken. So it's one that's just sort of been
But
moving down the line.
by doing the resolution won't interfere with any 2025 projects.
Not that I'm aware of.
So whatever is not spent on this, including monies for the sound barrier, would be available for a project for next year and not disrupt anything.
That is my understanding.
And then also, Ryan, if you would pull that up, back up for the rebounder, normally when I've seen or what the bounce back or whatever the technology word is that you were using, it'll interfere with one of the two tennis courts. So I'm just not sure about the usefulness of that $28,000 line item.
Yep, can you see my screen again?
One moment.
Not yet.
Kevin, maybe you have to stop sharing and then I try it again.
That work for you, Ryan?
All right, I'm trying again. Is it back up yet?
We can see your screen, Ryan.
All right. So yes, the tennis bounding board, obviously, if there's a desire for a bounding board, whether that's for, community practice, anyone can utilize that at any time. That is on the west fence line here. That is something that is used for practice. And yes, obviously, if there's someone utilizing that court, that bounding board is not available for use. And that's something that will always conflict. So as we do a lot of high school projects, a lot of school projects that we're doing now do not include bounding boards. It's kind of a personal preference. Some community parks like this see more of a need for it just for general purpose use. It's really a mixed bag on some people really like them. Some people say they don't get used much. And as we went through it with Kylie, she thought that there's a strong desire for it. So that's why it is included in the project. But yes, you're right that it would conflict with court usage. And that's how they are incorporated into any facility. You'll see the bounding board is something like a couple pictures here. This is the backside of the bounding board. And that's
Park has now is basically just plywood, so it's not what this would be. So this would be true, give more bounce, and for $28,000, it should do that.
yes, this is this is a 40-foot long board. The one that we have in the project bid is 24 feet long, but it is a composite material for the surface itself. And then you can see from the pictures on the backside that it does have structural foundations underground with heavy beefy posts and these supports. So yes, it is a very structural system, definitely beefed up and longer lasting than a plywood board.
Which also means it couldn't be adjusted after the fact or added after the fact.
Yeah, and that's the tough part is that if you, unlike just hanging the acoustic panels or putting privacy slats into the chain link fence, it is installed in line with the fence. So there's a gap in the fence stops there, and then that takes its place. And then the front surface of that bounding board lines up with the fence fabric. But because of the foundations that would have to go on the ground and the posts and instead of that fencing, it makes it very difficult to add it after the fact.
And I'm up and down Mendota Avenue more than I should be in the car and on my bike and everything like that. And I have never once seen somebody use ours. So, never. I mean, given ours is not very amazing, the paint's chipping off, the wood is, doing what wood does after many years. But I literally have never, and I have had the fortune of playing at many different tennis facilities around the country, and seldom have I ever seen that. And I think with taking away from other future projects for something that may or may not get used, which is going to have a conflict for the tennis courts that we only have 2 of, I just am not in support of spending that money with something that may or may not get used, and it's going to interfere with the court, one of 2 that we have to use. So that's how I feel about that.
Well, I would think this bounding board could be added in the future, although it would take
Some effort. And
some
money.
effort in restructuring the fence and doing a few things, but it's certainly not possible to do it. You got any community feedback, Kevin, from anybody on the bounding board, the lack of a good one that we have?
I personally do not, and it's as a result of not being involved in the planning
Right.
portions of this. So I would just say that I wasn't involved, and therefore I don't know why the decision was made to add this or leave it off. I would imagine if Kylie had feedback one way or another, there was reason behind it, but I can't say that I know what that is.
Well,
So I apologize for
A
that.
few months ago, didn't we, I think maybe in November at the PRFC meeting, did we have public comments for pickleball / tennis courts and like who, didn't we do that? And there was those who were for tennis courts and those who were for pickleball. I'm just wondering if there were comments in there about things that would be needed.
Yeah, there's comments there are online comments from the public survey.
That was it, yeah.
But I don't recall any comments about something like this.
I don't know if I do either, but
So if we decide against the bounding board, I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to put the sound abatement panels back in. I'm looking at our sound or noise ordinance. And I can't find it, but I know that we have a time that you can make noise, and it's 7
Sure, in
AM
the
is the
park.
earliest.
Mhm.
Sure.
But and I don't know if people want to play earlier than 7,
Well, I think
and
there's
that
some
might,
people want to play earlier, but I think it.
and that
then
might be a
differs.
really great feature to allow that.
But I think that would be a conflict against our park hours. The reason we made Lake Street a park is so there's hours to it. So Lakeview Park has hours to it. So even if we have the sound material, we're not gonna allow people to play before those hours because that's a conflict against us.
I think park hours, I think, are 5 AM.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really not?
Yeah,
8?
5 to 10, 5 AM to 10 PM, I
Oh,
think
that's
is open
close.
hours, so.
Okay.
Given that, I have to go back to the line item. in the budget.
Maybe so clear on the sound deafening. Is the point of the sound to reduce conflict between tennis and pickleball, or is it to reduce conflict with neighbors and players?
That's like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and those acoustic panels will help absorb and block the sound from traveling from pickleball to the south, which obviously it will help with tennis players, but also will help reduce the noise going to the homes. And if you do elect to remove the bounding board and not move forward with that, we will need to replace that bounding board with the 10-foot high chain link fence. And if you do want to do the privacy slats, we'll have to add that in as well. So we'll have to re-massage those numbers as far as the actual bid dollar to be approved with that contract. I won't have that immediately right now. Would have to recalculate those numbers.
How comfortable is the staff with all these added things?
Or changes.
Versus the changes, is what I'm trying to say. I mean,
I don't know if
maybe
I'm
I'm not
getting your question,
answering,
yeah.
asking the question properly. As it was first brought to us today, were you comfortable asking for the rebounder?
I was really hoping that the bid came in below the amount that we had allocated. That would be the easiest solution there.
Yeah.
So your question is, how comfortable are we? Well, I think if we have moved forward with a resolution which moves enough funding, then
Correct.
the base bid plus the two additional items from a standpoint of, can we do it all? I think we're comfortable with that. Maybe what I'm personally lacking is the ability to say, this is exactly what we chose to do these items.
And I guess I'm not looking for that because I don't
Okay.
think that way either. I don't want to be irresponsible, but I think this would be a beautiful and amazing facility to offer our residents, but Michelle makes great points.
Mhm.
Well, and I was growing up, I played against my garage door. That was my rebounder. When I grew up, I played against the local elementary school, a brick wall. You know, I mean, we've taken away 2 tennis courts. We now only have 2. So we had 4, we have 2. Then if we have this rebounder, you're gonna take away another court. So you're down to 1 tennis court that can be used. If somebody's using the rebounder, which I don't think anybody's gonna use the rebounder. That's my personal opinion.
There is one at Stonefield, but it's not in court.
Okay.
But it is.
And I glanced through the public comments. I didn't catch anything. This is from the November agenda. I didn't look that hard, but I didn't also catch anything, but I also wonder if it's because it already exists that people are, you know,
Well,
if we didn't have one, would there have been comments to put in? But really the question is pickleball, are you okay with the changes to the pickleball and tennis courts? It wasn't like, what do you want to see in your facility? It was, how do you feel about the changes? So that was, you know, the question wasn't geared towards getting that feedback.
Do we, anything from like the high school, like, do they still plan on using this facility for JV? Do we know if they'd want a rebound board? Do we know if they put one in their new facility, like that kind of thing?
I've not heard from the high school staff. Have you heard from anything about high school? Because
We did talk to them a bit about this, and I don't know if they'll be using Lakeview now that there's only 2 courts. Like what they're looking for is more than that, so they wouldn't have enough kids that could go over there to be able to use it. So I don't know what they're planning on doing.
okay. And I also feel like if high school is going to use it, they wouldn't be using the rebound board because, again, it'd be going down to 1 court, right? So.
But did it sound like when we were talking before with Ryan that it's the courts are used first and then the board is used if they're not in play? So like if people came to play, then whoever was using the board would not be using it anymore.
Would we have to establish those rules?
Yeah, I guess that would be up to the parks department on how they want to manage that.
And
Enforcing purpose.
yeah. Mhm. So, no, what?
If I may, Ryan, would you say that if we nixed it on the board, and would you estimate the costs to be lower if we remove the board?
They would be lower than what the current bid is, yes, because we'd be removing that $28,000 item. Let's see, the bounding board is 28,598. We would have to add in approximately 25 feet of 10-foot high fence and privacy slats, which obviously would be less. I don't have those exact numbers though.
Sure.
But it will be definitely a challenge to add those in the past because we do have the post-tension concrete system with that concrete edge. We cannot go into that concrete at all. So we would have to remove fence and drill new foundations directly adjacent to that. And that would make me quite uncomfortable. So I think that it's something that you either don't do or you do it. I wouldn't feel comfortable trying to add it in the future, so I wouldn't rely on that.
how far out past the fence does the post-tension concrete extend?
The post-tension concrete is up to it, but the foundations and that bounding board system is like 10 inches wide. So those 4-inch diameter posts are, within a foot of that concrete edge.
And you're saying that you think that if the foundation, the gravel base around the tennis court were to be disturbed, that might be problematic?
Yeah, and you'd have to drill these foundations and I want to say those are 18-inch diameter concrete foundations, 4 feet deep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're paying all this extra money for this fancy tension concrete. I don't want to screw with it.
I get that. I'm just thinking that if you're away from the concrete, you're away from the concrete, and if you need to offset the rebounding board by a few inches by putting some extra material between the rebounding board and the post, that certainly would be possible. I don't know. And I also don't know that the rebounding board, well, there'd be different ways of tackling this if you needed to set it back by another foot. But I don't think would interfere with the post tension concrete. I guess I'd rather say the 28,000 myself, if it's not something that's gonna get used.
I'm not sure we know that for sure.
Right. We won't know it until it's either in or not, right?
Mhm.
So. I'd be okay if somebody wants to make a motion either with or without the bounding board and the noise, either and with or without the noise dampening panels. We entertain a motion. Go ahead.
I would make a motion that we approve the plans and budget without the board and without the acoustics. And build it as, resolution intended, 2 tennis courts, 6 pickleball courts with fencing, and including the, privacy slats.
All right.
We'll let staff take a look at the additional costs and approve them. Okay, yes. I'll second that.
All right, we do have a motion. We do have a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Is there any way to ensure that the excess funds that might be made available by these cuts would be used by parks?
I think it's coming from our budget, so I think, yeah, it'd be just slid up into 2026 for whatever projects maybe we might be doing in
We haven't
2026.
looked at the solar shade that was sort of pushed off, but that along with the Mendota East would be some good potential projects.
Right.
So that's also probably worth mentioning. We are including the solar shade as well in this motion, or no?
No,
Not this time?
So what is included in the base bid right now is the foundations for those 2 structures. And then we did have an alternate for installation just to get a number, but this was not originally in, the original budget that was set up. Even these foundations were not in the original budget as we were talking about the scoping of the project. But we were able to get in the base bid, the numbers that are in front of you, foundations for a shade structure at tennis and a shade structure at pickleball. So that'll include the underground foundations, and then at whatever time is available, those structures can be ordered by the city and then installed.
Any other questions on the motion?
It might just be the way it's worded, but I wonder if the best way to do this would be to accept to make a recommendation to accept the base bid as it is, and then direct staff to create a change order to remove the baseboard or bounding board, fill in with fence, something to that effect.
Sure.
That would be the
Whatever works
Yeah.
within your system.
I think that would be the method that we would go about it. We'd need to accept the bid as is and then create a change order. Because it's in the base package. It's not a add-on like the
Well, then
acoustic
accept-
boards and
Accept the bid as is, make a change order, removing the board and adding the privacy slats.
I'm fine with that.
You're good with that. Okay, do you have a motion and a second? Any further discussion on the motion? All right,
Just to be clear, we're voting on what we just described.
yes, yep. Yep. All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right, motion does carry. All right, that can,
Was it unanimous?
no.
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that concludes the agenda items. Now to liaison reports. So last week at the planning commission, we had a item that will be of future concern or future interest to the PRFC. Dane County this year is piloting a program to bring create a place for home compost or for like food scraps. And that's going to right for this year, for 1 year, it's going to be at Terrace Avenue next to the skate park. It's going to go into three parking stalls, and the county's is responsible for like implementation of it, and they'll have a communication plan to get residents access to the facility. After 1 year, they'll evaluate the program, see how successful it was, and if it does, they do choose to continue it. They actually would like to switch it to Lakeview Park. Kylie was not in favor of it at Lakeview Park this year, mainly because of some of the construction work that's being done. Also, potential future changes to that entrance area, which is still yet to be determined. So we'd approved it. It will be constructed at some point this spring. And then, like I said, the residents will get information from the county on how to access it to drop off your food scraps. So I think that was pretty much the only item of interest at our last meeting. And then David, you have update and concerns?
Nothing new since our last meeting.
All right, Erica, any community campus? All right, we are through our agenda today, so I will declare us adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Did you have a meeting
glad you're-
discussing
I was so worried y'all didn't.
conservancy? Did you guys have a meeting?
Holy cow.
When's your March meeting?
I,
26th or something like that?
yeah, something like that.
How's it going?
Okay, I'm gonna try to attend.
We've got the Conservancy land plan, but that'll be the big thing.
Okay, my big thing is going to be that I
Oh,
want
how are you?
a naming contest for our
I always
nesting
get the same thing
eagles.
when I click on the link
Oh.
for the email. I always
People's
just
attention to the
Google
trail,
Middleton
interest down
Parks
there.
Forest
They
Recreation
can watch the nest
Commission
from
and
the
then
scope that's down
agenda,
there.
and
Okay.
usually it's the top result.
And
Thank you.
I thought
Yeah,
it would
I,
click here.
yeah,
but
it always sucks to
it's
just kind of feel
going to
like
conservancy.
Google, but
So I'll
yeah.
be on Zoom probably.
Okay.
If you know a proper way to make
So-
it work though, I would love to just click the
Katie
button and have
Nelson?
it work.
Katie O. Nelson. I'm Katie Nelson. I can pull up my 23andMe. I am 9